Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Gonna jump right into some bite down boxing. If you like the way any of the topics are being discussed, please hit the like button. Consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. Look, I want to throw this out there, this disclaimer out there from the jump. This is not a diss record. This is not a diss song. And that's not trying to make any friends or not to offend anybody. But I'm just trying to understand more about how things work. So I just finished listening to Bill Haney on the Ak and Barak show, Sirius XM's Fight Nation, the Ak and Barak show. Bill Haney himself. I didn't bother to record the audio. Maybe I'll do something on it over the weekend. But my point is very simple. They brought Bill on the show for him to speak about bidding on or taking a shot at the purse bid for unified lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos Jr. Supposedly, Bob Arum has he set it his max at like 1.2 million or something for his fighter, Teofimo Lopez, and has said, I'm not going in above that. I'll let it go to purse bid and see who wants to buy the fight. I follow all of that. This is for Kambosos is the IBF mandatory. I follow all of that. So then Bill Haney goes on. This is no diss to Bill Haney, but we talking about holding people accountable. That's what I'm trying to do. So then I see a video about Bill Haney saying that I'm going to bid on the fight. So my question is, what does bidding on that fight do for you? What does bidding on that fight, how does that help your cause in making a fight for between Teofimo Lopez and your son, WBC champion Devin Haney? So anybody can go and bid on this fight. I would imagine that Top Rank, would also put in a bid to try to keep the fight. But my question, so Ak and Barak, they let Bill Haney say everything that he wants to say, and they talk through it. But they never asked this. They never asked this question so that we can become more educated as fans and observers and pundits. The obvious question is, Bill, if you win the bid, how does that help you out in making the fight that you want to make? So now I get to the other part of it. They never asked that question. Bill Haney walks through the facts, so he gets into explaining more and says that Teofimo Lopez did not go to the IBF and request an exception to allow him to fight, conceivably to fight Devin Haney for a unification fight versus honoring his mandatory. So he pointed that out. Cool. He points out that 1.5 was offered to Gary Russell Jr. a couple of months back. That was not accepted. So now he's kind of throwing out the suggestion that he could offer 1.5 to he could do 1.5 and Teofimo Lopez should be cool with that. I don't know how that works because Teofimo Lopez has more belts and is a bigger name than Gary Russell Jr. at this point. So I don't really get that. Then he also goes and mentions later on, he says, I have a great partner in DAZN and I have other business partners and whatnot. DAZN is throwing Eddie Hearn. DAZN is throwing out all kind of big money. So we're going to take a shot at bidding for the fight. So what they did ask him was, this is a salute to Ak and Barak. They asked him, They said, have you sent an offer to Teofimo Lopez? After he said a couple of things about Teofimo Lopez. Bill says no. He says, no, we did not. We have not sent him an offer. Bill says, what we want to do is talk. Excuse my language. The fuck you want to talk about? Send an offer creates the opportunity to talk. They would either accept that or they would reject that. So to come on here and to come on the radio and act like you're not a part of the problem and you're not feeding into the problem, or like you have all the answers, or you should be winning this discussion or you should be controlling the narrative in the court of public opinion. How? If you send the offer and the offer looks right, then maybe they go and ask the IBF for the exception. But I guess I got everything backwards. But how do you tell a man that we want to sit and talk? What's there to talk about? Send the offer. If the offer is not fair, they reject it. If the offer is right, then I guess you had that talk. Now the other thing, what I'm just trying to piece this together, I'm just trying to understand this with everybody else. In bidding for the fight, if you win the bid, do you get a chance to throw a return clause in that contract where we pay you whatever for this fight, but then you have to fight with us in your next fight? Is that what the plan is? Or secondly, if you win the bid and then he doesn't he doesn't go through with the fight, he gets stripped of the IBF, and then you get a chance to fight for that IBF. Is that the move? You playing chess out here. So again, I don't have these answers. I just see what most people see, and I just try to make sense of it. But to come on and sit here and say that, Bill also said that he hasn't sent a contract to Ryan Garcia. So if you haven't sent a contract to him and you haven't sent a contract to Teofimo, like what are you really doing? You're not doing anything more than they are. You're just being more cautious with your wording and what you say on the platforms. What's the real chance of this fight happening? And what's up, Steve? What about Haney versus Linares? Well, he said before he got off, the last thing that he said when he got off was, we got to go down the list, and they have to consider Javier Fortuna, and they have to consider. He didn't mention Linares, but he would have to consider Linares. So that's it. He doesn't have anything. He doesn't have any solutions. He just came on to say that the media needs to put pressure on the different fighters. The media needs to put pressure on them and hold them accountable and make them accept these fights. But again, why are you bidding on Lopez-Kambosos versus Kambosos Jr.? That's the reality of it. That's all you can do. They also asked him about Tank Davis before he got off, and he said that Tank Davis really wasn't in the picture because Tank Davis isn't really a lightweight. He really hasn't. He's only fought at 135 one time, so he's not really in the equation. So that's what he said about Gervonta Davis. And I just forgot where I was going with the other thought, but like I said, just trying to understand it and sort through. Oh, that's what I was saying. Why is it more beneficial to bid on the fight between Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos Jr. versus just sending a contract to Teofimo Lopez? So that's what and like I said, this isn't really trying to clap and shoot and, fire any shots at anybody. But looking at this from the outside in, if you can bid on the Teofimo versus Kambosos Jr. fight, if you can bid on that, why can you not just send a offer to Teofimo Lopez directly? And again, if your number looks correct, that would prompt Teofimo to go to the IBF and to ask them to allow him to fight Devin Haney instead of moving forward with the mandatory. So again, I'm just sitting here listening to the man's words, trying to make sense of it. Bill Haney is actually one of my favorite dudes in the boxing business. Interesting that he chose to step down from being his son's chief second to focus on the business. But some people were calling for that, so maybe that's a good move. But again, you know, if you have deep pockets, money talks. I mean, it's no different than the opening scene of New Jack City. Money talks. And if you want to talk to Teofimo Lopez, send an offer. Going in here and bidding, for his fight to put the fight on DAZN, I guess. How does that help your son? What, your son gets to sit ringside and go into the ring after the fight and call him out on, you know, face to face or something? That just seemed like hustling backwards and going around the long way versus going right to the fix. And the fix is make an offer. So, but like I said, Bill Haney, definitely one of my favorite dudes in the business. I actually, I've emailed Bill a couple of times to try to talk to him. I'm not big enough to get that yes or even get a response apparently. So again, this is not to sit here and shoot any shots at Bill, but expecting the media to make this fight for you, to get this fight lined up for you, that's not our job, or that's not the job of media. Same way that the questions don't get asked. I heard Fortuna turned down the Haney fight. He did just say that. He said that they've been trying to fight Fortuna for a while, and even going back to Showtime, I guess they tried to make a deal to fight Fortuna on Showbox, the Friday night show, and Fortuna turned that down, and then in subsequent attempts to make that fight, it hasn't happened either. So, but again, if you want the media to hold the fighters in their camps, you want the media to hold their feet to the fire, you got off of this show without asking or without answering the question, why is it more beneficial for you to bid on this Teofimo versus Kambosos Jr. versus just sending an offer to Team Teofimo? They got into it talking about was $4 million proposed or offered, and then, like I said, Bill came back and said that no offer has been made whatsoever. So, and this is, like I said, this isn't really to attack this particular situation. This is how messed up boxing is right now. That it's all of these good fights out there, these good potential fights out there, and there's really no mechanism, there's no apparatus, there's no boxing czar, there's no boxing commission, there's no instrument, there's no nothing to make none of this stuff happen in a timely manner. And then you just have, and that's another, and my last thing, and I'm gonna get on off of here. To sit here and talk to all of these guys, whether it's Ryan Garcia, whether it's Devin Haney, or whether it's Teofimo Lopez, to sit here and listen to guys, I said this before, that who are under 25, under 24 years old, to sit here and talk about what they're going to do and what fight they're going to make and who they're going to get in the ring and who they're going to beat up and so on and so forth. None of them have the power to do anything. So you automatically know if they get on one of these, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it's calling into a radio show, whether it's whatever, none of them have the power to do anything. But again, you know, like I said, even with Ak and Barak, they're not going to push too hard because they want Bill Haney to come back on the show. You're not going to push too hard because you want Devin Haney to come back on the show. You want Teofimo Lopez to come back on the show. So that's what it is. Anyway, man, my name is Wood. Bite Down Boxing. Don't let them count you out. A lot of fights this weekend. Unfortunately, we lost the main event on Top Rank on ESPN for tomorrow night. Joe Smith Jr. and Maxime Vlasov. Vlasov tested positive for COVID, so that fight is gone. They elevate Richard Comey and Jackson Marinez to the main event on there, and they probably shuffle the card around a little bit. But in terms of Ohio specifically, tomorrow what I'll be tuning in for is the youngster out of Toledo, Ohio, the heavyweight Jared, the real big baby Anderson will be taking on Kingsley eBay. And I just think it's not. I don't want to say it's a dangerous fight, but it is a fight for the kid to be sharp, to be defensively responsible. Not to give the guy any openings. eBay has proven himself to be, he's trying to maximize what he can do in the sport. I believe he sells insurance out in Arizona. Former collegiate football player. Not the most skilled guy. They are both 6'4". EB's a little awkward, coming from that football background. I would imagine he'll look to shoot his shot and try to capitalize on some things. So for Jared Anderson, at least until you put some punishment on the guy, beat him up a little bit, it'd be good to keep your hands up, maintain range, and just look for a guy that's trying to be an opportunist. I don't think EB stands there and tries to box with Jared Anderson for a lengthy time. But like I said, if you're sitting there, if you start lowering that lead left hand and not protecting your chin, maybe it's an opportunity for him to throw some feints in there and disguise a shot and catch you with your chin high in the air. But Anderson, he's shown a little bit of flair. You can have fun and throw and show off a little bit once you've asserted yourself, once you've beaten and taken the fight out of a guy a little bit. It's only a 6-rounder. So, like I said, just box smart, land good shots, don't go for anything, and be stupid. Just let the fight come to you. You're the more talented guy, probably the bigger puncher. You're the guy with the brighter future. Just use your skill set to win the fight and get the W. Only 2 fighters have gone beyond the first round with Anderson. EB, he's taking some good shots. He almost upset Guido Vianello, who was an Olympian for Italy back in 2016, I want to say. And so, again, he's a guy who's probably going to, at some point, try to take advantage of, create and take advantage of a moment. But like I said, Anderson has more than enough skill to get the victory. Just don't do anything stupid. So check that out. Also on the Zone at 2 o'clock, you have the Warrington and Mauricio Lara fight. I'm not all that familiar with Warrington, to be honest, but him dropping his IBF belt at featherweight to take this fight and try to force a mandatory situation or whatever he's doing, I'm just going to tune in and watch that one. But then later on in the night, you have the Golden Boy card with IBF super featherweight champion Jojo Diaz Jr. I like Jojo. I like Jojo's game. Not the heaviest handed guy, but he can box. Also a former U.S. Olympian. He's with his first title defense against Shavikan Rakimov. I think that's going to be a pretty exciting fight. In the co-main event, you have Patrick Teixeira and Brian Castano. Teixeira has the WBO super welterweight belt. I'm sorry. That's interesting because the winner of that could potentially be an undisputed bout for the unified champion at super welterweight, Jermell Charlo. So that's why you want to check that one out. That's kind of the highlights for the weekend. So like I said, it sucks that we don't get the Joe Smith Jr. fight. If you wanted to see any activity at light heavyweight, COVID. So that's it, man. Let me get on off of here. Got any comments? Leave them in the comment section. I'll respond to them. Again, man, this Bill Haney situation, I guess I'll just have to tune in and see what happens with his bid, and who else bids on that fight. I don't think it's bad business by I don't think it's horrible business decision from Top Rank and Bob Arum, but this definitely is part of his track record with being really frugal with the money and with their budget. You know, and you had him fight. It's crazy because we everybody patted and saluted it and patted Top Rank and Bob Arum on the back for keeping Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez on cable, on free TV or ESPN. It did the numbers that it did. It was a good fight, relatively speaking. And Teofimo took, 1.2, 1.3 million or something to make that fight. Now he is what he is. He's a superstar, quote unquote, that he is. You got to pay the man. And now, when the shoe is on the other foot, the promoter wants to be stingy with the purse string. So that's unfortunate. But I don't run a promotional company, so I don't know what he's looking at. It's just like, how much, as the promoter, as Bob Arum, how much do you have to win? I know Kambosos Jr. is not the biggest fight, the biggest name, but there will be bigger fights out there for Teofimo Lopez. So why would you spurn, that relationship? Why would you poison that relationship and start sending it down the road of Mikey Garcia, Floyd Mayweather Jr., Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, Miguel? Why would you do this? So maybe it's the start of the ending. Anyway, bite down boxer, don't let them count you out. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Enjoy the weekend. I'm out. Peace.